Hello, welcome back to my garden. More specifically, my greenhouse today. And in case you hadn't been watching the weather or you live far away from me, like on the West Coast, I'm in Eastern North Carolina, growing zone 8B. And we just had some crazy cold weather. And on top of that, we had a bit of ice because there was rain and then it froze, but that hasn't really affected the garden. What I was concerned about though, with the extremely cold temperatures, I think it got down to like 20 for over 6 hours, was my seedlings in the greenhouse. My greenhouse, in case you didn't know, is an unheated greenhouse and it's uninsulated. So if it gets down to 20 at night, it's eventually going to get to 20 in the greenhouse. Now I do have some passive heating in there with water jugs filled with water, painted black, that jazz, but the last couple of days, because of the rain, it's been really cloudy out, so they weren't able to absorb any light, any heat, so they really weren't going to work. What I did last night though, because of the really cold temperatures, and I put this up in the YouTube posts page, or used to be the community page, now it's the post page. Anyways, if you go over my YouTube homepage, you'll see a tab up top for called posts, and I put a question up there. I often post up questions or quizzes or facts or behind the scenes photos, so if you haven't checked it out, go over, check it out. There's some cool, fun stuff over there. Anywho, I posted a question up saying, should I put a heater in the greenhouse? And I was already kind of thinking about this, but I wanted you guys' input. And I think one person answered yes. So I think only one person answered, period. But I did put a small heater inside the greenhouse. I have this old, small Stanley here. Just blows a bit of hot air. It's electric. And I had to run a really long extension cord all the way over to the garage. Not necessarily ideal, but it's what I had to do. And I think that it kept the greenhouse just warm enough that my seedlings inside were going to be okay. Now, we had earlier in the year gotten down to some freezing temperatures, really cold freezing temperatures, so much so that my external hot water tank line froze on me. But what I had inside the greenhouse here was a lot of dormant plants, cuttings, my citrus trees, and as long as they didn't get a frost on them, they would be fine. Also, the sun was out, so the greenhouse warms up during the daytime. But as I mentioned a second ago, the last few days have been cloudy and cold, and last night dropped down to like 20. So let's take a quick peek inside and see what survived and didn't survive. The greenhouse right now is currently 90 degrees, allegedly. The front door is open, so letting in a bit of air. But inside the greenhouse here, it is pretty warm. Doesn't feel like 90, but it's pretty warm. My citrus trees I had outside prior to the last few days when we were going to get that freeze, and they were doing fabulous. They got some good natural rainwater on them. All my aphid problems that I had earlier in the season with them, they're all gone. I have my key lime and orange repotted. I still have to repot my 2 Meyer lemon trees. I'm just gonna pull them out, clean out some weeds and other things that are in the pot, and put in some fresh potting soil, and then I'll repot them. That'll probably be happening in the next week or so. So if you guys want to see a video on that or see me work on that, please leave a comment below. And as I stated a second ago, I was really worried about my seedlings. So let's take a quick look at some of them. Here are a few of my onions, and they are just looking incredible, fabulous. I'm apparently going to have a ton of red rocks. And what is this one? Candy F1. So I'm going to have a bunch of onions. They do look good and totally undamaged by the freeze. These are my snapdragons. Yes, I have a lot of snapdragons. I'm going to do a bit of thinning on these, and then as probably in the next week or two, as they put on their true leaves, I'll be taking them out of these trays and up-potting them. I'll probably do a video about up-potting at some point. And even though snapdragons are pretty cold hardy, I was really worried because, again, these are seedlings. These are itty-bitty things, so I was worried about them freezing or succumbing to freezes. Out of the 10 seeds that came in the packet, I have 5 geraniums. Okay, so 50% germination rate. I think I lost one due to fungus gnats, but the rest of these look good, and I don't know if you guys can tell, one of them is at least putting on true leaves, maybe 2 of them putting on true leaves. I've never grown geraniums before, so I'm looking forward to this. I'll probably be up-potting these another week or so. We'll have to see how they grow, but they've been growing pretty fast so far, and I'm really excited about this. I have a couple other varieties of snapdragons. These are Monaco Orange and Potomac Apple Blossom, and they also seem to be doing pretty well. They seem to have survived the cold temperatures, which, again, I was quite worried about. Here's one that I was quite worried about, and that is the Maltese cross here. And hopefully you guys can see that. They're very, 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 very small. So I was really, 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 really worried that those really cold temperatures would adversely affect them. They all seem to be fine. There's no signs of any sort of damage. The only thing that I've noticed in the years that I've been growing here in the greenhouse is that when it gets cold or those really cold nights, it just slows down the growth. It stunts the growth. But eventually, as the greenhouse warms up during the day and as the season progresses, then everything sort of catches up. So there's no worries so far as that. I don't have heating pads out here on the bench because I have no electricity out here. And I've never really had a problem. Just the last couple of nights, again, stupid cold, and I have all these very small vine seedlings. Here you go at sea hollies. Looks like all my sea hollies, again, A-OK, and they are all coming in, which is I'm pretty happy about. I'd like to grow a lot more sea hollies. I've grown this in the past, at least one variety. I've only planted 2 or 3. So this upcoming year, I'm going to hopefully be planting larger clumps and larger groupings. So hopefully we'll have much nicer displays. Cold temperatures didn't really seem to bother my jalapeno plants right here. And you can see it's putting on some new growth. So that's pretty cool. Again, there seems to be no damage whatsoever. And all of these plants that I'm mentioning had been previously watered, but from what I've seen, it didn't even look like the soil had frozen, which is another thing I was worried about. So we are okay there. Now this is a tray of mixed dahlias, and I'm not sure if it's going to really show up on the camera here, but some of these look a little palish yellow, and I don't know if that is a natural thing or if those seedlings were affected by the cold, and maybe they're not going to make it overall. Most of this looks pretty good. Now, one of the varieties I started this year from seed for dahlias was the watercolor mix. And you can see they are looking fabulous and really good. So these will probably, again, get up potted in the next probably week or 2. I'll have to keep an eye on them as they get a little larger and maybe put on the true leaves. I don't think these are the true leaves yet. If it looks like they're going to be putting on true leaves, then at that point, I'll then up pot them. Here's another one, small one that I have is jasmine tobacco. And again, these little itty bitty seedlings just look fabulous. They look good. So hopefully in the next probably 3 weeks or so, because they're still very small, I'll be up potting these. If you've never grown jasmine tobacco, also known as nicotiana, jasmine nicotiana, give it a whirl, because at nighttime it releases this incredible scent of jasmine. It is absolutely just incredible. It's just, and if you have a large clump of it, if you haven't grown it, grow it. And this last one I'm going to show you is not a seed. But it's a plant that I had never grown before, and I got it late last year, and I grew it on the back deck, and it did put on a beautiful display. And I was really worried about overwintering it in the greenhouse because it's more of a tropical plant, and I didn't know how it was going to fare. But my cigar plant, I don't know if you guys can see that, right there, it's putting on new growth. So this is my Mexican cigar plant, and I had just cut it back because all the top growth had died off, which I guess is normal for this. Again, I've never grown it before. If you've ever grown a Mexican cigar plant, please leave those comments below. But it's putting on new growth. So I'm pretty excited, and I'm looking forward to having this back outside when the weather gets warmer. So that's pretty much what I've got going on right now in the greenhouse. There's a bunch of other cuttings and stuff that I'm not going to bore you with. And I've had some cuttings die on me and they got tossed in the compost pile. And I've had other cuttings in there, salvias and some Yupons and a few other things that are all doing pretty well in there right now, which is pretty exciting. The upcoming, I think tonight is supposed to get down to 23 again for quite a period of time. So I think I'm going to keep that heater in the greenhouse for tonight. But after that, the low will be above freezing. It'll be in the 36, 38 range at nighttime, which is fine. So I won't keep the heater in there for that. And then the days are supposed to get warmer and warmer and warmer going forward. Now, we may still get another freeze sometime in March or even now in February. Who knows what the long-term forecast is. But from what I've been seeing on the NOAA website is that the upcoming months we're supposed to be warmer than average, We will see. Again, Mother Nature can do whatever Mother Nature wants, but thankfully a lot of the stuff inside the greenhouse there, it looks like pretty much everything survived. I don't see any casualties at this point, which I'm, again, pretty happy about. I would hate to have to re-sow a lot of those plants that I have in there. Speaking of sowing, this weekend I'll be starting my Canterbury bells, salvia, tall coreopsis, daisies, globe thistle. I'm going to try to grow some pink mums from seed that I collected, and tomatoes. So if you guys want to see any of that, leave those comments below, and I'll talk more about what seeds I'm sowing. And maybe I will for Monday's video. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do for Monday's video, but the next 10 days looks like it's going to be warmer and nicer out. So I may just get out into the garden someplace and work on dozens of projects that I have to do. I still have to rework the dahlia beds a bit. I got that going on. I've got to go, all the beds need cleanup to one degree or another. Some of them just need a little dead leaves pulled off. Others need a lot more, need more compost and mulch added to them. So there's a lot of work to be done here and around the garden. And some of you may still be buried under snow and just waiting for your chance to get out into the garden, whereas others of you may already be out in the garden doing some spring cleanup or in preparation for that spring cleanup. And Sophie here has been really enjoying the sunshine today. She has not been enjoying the cold and the freezes, especially with her short haircut that she got recently, but she's enjoying the sun today very much. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Sophie here would very much appreciate it. Sophie, tell everybody you appreciate it. Yeah. No, she's distracted by something. If you haven't checked out that YouTube posts page, go over to that YouTube post page, check it out there. If you don't follow me on Instagram, give it a follow on Instagram. I often post pictures there that you won't necessarily see here on YouTube. And I think it's going to wrap it up for today. Any questions, comments, etc., you guys know what to do. Leave them below. I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.